Pregame.com.
Welcome back, Pregame.tv. Happy to be talking about your 2013 NCAA champions, the Louisville Cardinals. And they will be taking on Oregon here in the Sweet 16. Okay, I'm a little biased here.
They'll be facing Florida in the championship.
There's a lot of basketball left to be played. I do have a free play on this one. Let me start with UVR. You love Florida. Louisville, I talked with RJ on Sunday night about this game, and he was saying, well, Louisville is overvalued because they've covered 12 consecutive games. And I would say, wait a minute, doesn't that mean they're undervalued?
Right, that's always the argument.
They've covered 12 consecutive games. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree. You mean, talking to you, you've kind of made me shift a little bit on how I view that. Obviously, you got to take each team on a case-by-case basis. But with that said, it is a different perspective that I really am starting to believe in, that maybe the betting market hasn't, even though the odds makers may want to try to protect the books and attach a premium, maybe they just haven't adjusted enough. And the team is supposed to be overvalued, but they're not yet if they keep covering. So I agree with you there. Listen, Louisville, I have them in the championship game with Florida. I think that they're the best defense in all college basketball, and that's what's going to get them there. I really do. And during that little stretch where they lost a couple games, people stopped believing in this team. And yet, if you looked at more the advanced stats, you saw guys like Ken Pomeroy still had them 1 or 2 the whole season. When AP and everyone else kind of backed off Louisville, they're not the hot team anymore. I think they're for real. I really do. I like Louisville.
They had 2 really bad games. They lost to Villanova. The other losses, perfectly acceptable, close losses, Georgetown, Syracuse. But, Bryan, let me ask you about, did you watch you don't watch that much basketball. I know you're crunching the numbers, working on the next day's games. Did you watch the 5 overtime game against Notre Dame?
I watched every overtime of it. I didn't see the regulars.
You watched every overtime. You know what that means? Every single person in the country saw that game, and they said, "Oh, this team's overrated." I really think they've covered every game since then, and I think it was a great watershed event where the coach could scream at his players for blowing the game, and the entire nation could see that Louisville wasn't that good. Would you agree?
Well, my numbers might not be right, but I could be wrong. But I know they've won 12 in a row. Did they cover all 12?
They've covered 10
of
the last 10.
One of them was like real. I think they covered the opener, maybe not the close.
Yeah, it was close. But, this game kind of reminds me, and I have to admit, I used Colorado State the other day against Louisville.
Oh, the kid, the Ram suit kid.
Yeah.
You saw him, right? He's wearing the big, you saw him, right? Yeah. The fan wore like a mascot Ram suit. He looked so depressed. I haven't seen someone so upset since the Iowa State kid was crying when they lost to Kansas. I digress. Go ahead.
You had me scared. I thought you were putting shoulder pads on the players. But Colorado State is a team that rebounds very well, the top rebounding team in the country. Oregon rebounds the ball very well. Take a look at Louisville. They've done tremendous work in the tournaments. 16-5 against the spread in tournament games the last 3 years. 6-1 in the big dance. And we talked earlier about the Florida defense. Louisville's very much like a different style of defense.
Yeah.
But they forced 19 turnovers a game against opponents who only averaged 13 turnovers. Another huge differential. And if you watch that game, as good as the big men were in Colorado State, they couldn't get them the ball because the guards were pressured so much. We may see that again here with us.
I think the biggest difference between these two teams is that they're both good defensively. And that's kind of been what Dana Altman did with Creighton when he was there. He had them play great defense. But I think it's the offensive side of the ball that is the biggest difference between these two clubs. Louisville has an efficient offense, but Oregon doesn't. I think Altman's taken them as far as they could possibly go. I was surprised when I saw this line open 9.5, now sitting at 10. I made my line 13.5. So I think perception is Louisville, even though they're 9-1 ATS, Oregon 4-0, covered their last 4. I don't think that Louisville's overvalued right now. I really don't.
My only concern is it's the Pac-12 has clearly been undervalued.
Yeah.
They've done so well. But one thing if you did nothing else in this tournament, just smoke dope, didn't pay any attention, can't name a player, and just bet the team that had the home field advantage, you're hitting 70%. It's that easy. It's like bet on the Michigan teams.
That's why we used to whip out the ruler.
wasting. Rip out the rulers. We do the damn rulers, and you win. And the ruler says that Louisville rules here because they're going to go to Indianapolis and they're going to have a massive home field advantage because the cheating NCAA committee wants them to be in the Final Four. And this is a nice quack story. But now I got the West Coast team wheeling into the Midwestern winter and fat, drunk, and happy off parties. They didn't expect to be here. They could say they did, but they're kind of they've overachieved. They've saved their season. The coach feels good. They're going to go out there, and this is a fun trip.
Here's something nobody's brought up. You talked about Altman. Who's got the coaching advantage here? He's one of the best coaches in college basketball. I mean, he doesn't get the accolades of the Louisville coach, but I mean, you're getting one of the best coaches in college basketball as a double-digit underdog here. That's my only concern. And I'm not buying into the location thing. This isn't in the home state. Once you get into the Sweet 16, once you get into the Final Four, it's a totally different situation.
So in the Final 32, it matters completely, and you can hit 70%. But the Sweet 16 now, it doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't hit 70% every year.
That's true.
It used to be you can blindly play it
60% home state.
For a long time.
Used to be.
It bounced back.
Yeah, but the market did catch up to that. But I think because it didn't work last year during a one-year sample, that caught up. Let me go ahead and make this one official. Louisville. They are playing not in their home state, but close enough. Indianapolis. It is basically a home game. The committee is going to smile. Oregon, it's a nice story, but they really are not the class of the Pac-12, and they're playing what I truly feel is very much the best team in the country right here. The best team in the country playing at home murders anyone who's not in the top 10. That's what's going to happen this game. I think it's a big blowout. We're going to go with Louisville.
Teams like Oregon, let's face it, I agree with you 100%, Steve, that their goal when they got to the tournament was to get to the weekend. Not that a Sweet 16. I mean, obviously you want to. Every player wants to win, but I think your realistic goal was let's win a first-round game.
And that's true for all the 10 through 16 seeds.
Exactly.
They say this is our Final Four.
Exactly. They want to get to the weekend.
And I did want to point out, there's a big difference your first game of the weekend and your second game of the weekend because that quick turnover. If they had to play Louisville right after they played before, they didn't have really a lot of time to work on it because Louisville plays something different than they've never seen all season long. So if it had been right there the second game, they would have gotten killed. Now that they've got a quality coach, they've got extra time to prepare, I think it's going to be more of a game than what you guys think.
He likes the dog.
That's all right. Maybe that'll save me some big. I can make an extra 8% or 9% in this game. Stay with us, pregame.tv. Although I do owe everyone in town a dinner, at least one, if not two. Alf, if you're listening, I'm going to get you this month, baby. Everyone else, take a number. Get in line because we got to go ahead and break down this Michigan State game coming up against Duke. We'll talk about. I have a free plan to talk about how this is going to be one of the most boring games you've ever watched. Stay with us, pregame.tv.
If we got to get in line.